My article was published last week on Thursday. This is in Green Market Report by a very esteemed and experienced reporter, John Schroyer, who has covered the industry for years. And with that, let me eviscerate this article for you guys here this morning. First social equity dispensary in U.S. is now closed. If this is the future of cannabis, it's very scary, the article says. The first ever social equity marijuana dispensary to open in the United States closed up shop in March after the store's landlord declined to renew its lease, Green Market Report has learned. But the owner says it's not the end of the venture. The dispensary, Blunts & More on 66th Avenue in Oakland, California, right next to the Oakland Coliseum, was the first social equity license recipient to formally open for business back in November of 2018. The Oakland City program sparked a national movement aimed at making amends for the race-based targeting of blacks and other minorities by law enforcement during the heyday of marijuana prohibition. The humble program, which began with just 4 retail permits, included that of Blunts & More, led directly to similarly structured social equity programs in states like New York, Arizona, Connecticut, Illinois, and Missouri, along with the high-flying political promise that such policies would help create generational wealth to repair the years lost in prison for nonviolent cannabis convicts. Blunts & More co-founder Tucky Blunt had high hopes when he opened the doors. He even told Forbes and Leafly in 2018 he wanted to eventually list on the NASDAQ and become a national franchise. But now, Blunt has become more of a cautionary tale for cannabis entrepreneurs with dollar signs in their eyes, a warning signal that the marijuana trade is not an easy one in which to find success. I'm going to come back to this later because this author's got it completely wrong, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Blunt confirmed a Green Market Report that his shop closed to customers in March after his landlord declined to renew his lease. We'll come back to that. But he indicated in follow-up emails and texts that he intended to pivot to a marijuana delivery business and perhaps special cannabis-related events. He also shared that he's looking for a location to reopen Blunts & More, but he declined interview requests for this week for more details. I don't look at it as a closing, Blunt wrote in an email. It was more of a pivot relocation. Closing makes people think it can never reopen, which isn't true. Future of cannabis. But it's far from clear whether Blunt will succeed, said social equity advocate Amber Center, given how notoriously difficult the California marijuana industry is. Center, who owns the California brand Maker House, said the biggest takeaway from the Blunts & More closure, wrong Amber, even if it's just temporary, isn't that social equity programs per se are failing, but that the California cannabis regulatory landscape is essentially unworkable for small companies. No, it's that if you sign a 5-year lease with no renewal options, you're done at the end of 5 years. Let's keep it simple. This is par for the course, considering the regulatory framework that we have had to work with. We're going to see many more business closures across the board, Center said. California, Massachusetts, Illinois, Maryland, wherever. My question is it responsible for us as an industry to continue to be encouraging people to get into the industry when we know that what the ramifications are? Is it responsible for businesses to sign a 5-year lease with no renewals if they know what the ramifications are? If this is the future of cannabis, it's very scary, Center said. The issue isn't with the Oakland Social Equity Program, that's right, or even how it's been administered, that's right, Center said. She praised city officials for having adapted as necessary to feedback from industry stakeholders like her. Rather, she emphasized it's incredibly difficult to succeed in California climate with a 5-year non-renewable lease. I'm never going to point to the program and say this program was a problem, because this is a problem across the industry, period, for any business with a 5-year lease, Center said. She added that she is getting my ass kicked with Maker's House due to the same systemic problems, high stakes and local taxes, huge amounts of red tape, and major price competition from the underground market. The primary takeaway from Blunt's story, he agreed, is that having a cannabis business license is no guarantee of success these days. Definitely not a guarantee of anything but debt, LOL, unless you own the land, Blunt wrote in an email. So let me kick off my commentary in the most feisty, fiery, and fired up way possible. Woo. The problem with this article is correlation is not causation. And both the operator, the social equity advocate quoted, and the author are failing to acknowledge the singular reason why this article is news. If you are a business in any industry and you sign a 5-year lease, at the end of your 5-year lease, your business has no legal right to continue to operate. And so the notion that you could take a failure of real estate and expound it to be a failure of the industry or a condemnation of the limitations of social equity programs is ass backwards. The problem here is that every time a business fails in California, there is this burning desire to expound upon what it means for the greater economic macro system, when in fact what happened here is what happened at Cookies Melrose, which is bad real estate is bad business, creates a lack of sustainability. If you want a sustainable industry, quit worrying about straws in the sea turtles and start getting leases that are renewable, that allow a business to operate for more than 5 years. And so whether we look at closures like Cookies Melrose, where the lease ended, or closures like Blunts and More, where the lease ended, or amazing operators like Reese at Poshmark, whose lease is ending in San Francisco, there's only 3 reasons why this happens. You didn't know what you were doing, you got bad advice, or you hired underexperienced real estate professionals to navigate the execution of a leasehold interest as a tenant business. That's it. There's no other industry in the world that complains about a lease ending because they recognize their own participation and responsibility in crafting a set of real estate terms that allows them the power and the position to choose whether they would want to extend and renew. And so, John, you got this one wrong, buddy. This is about bad real estate. And Amber, God bless you, fellow Buddhist, no problems. I was your social equity applicant in San Francisco. We go way back, but your problems and challenges in California or at Maker House have nothing to do with bad real estate. And Tucky, God bless you. Know you very little, have nothing but good things to say about you. And if you sign a 5-year lease, in year 6, you have nothing. And so when we talk about sustainability in this industry and we talk about wanting to be treated the same as any other industry, don't get it twisted. Your commercial lease is foundational to what you may or may not be able to do with the business you struggle to stand up, operate, and scale. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News. I'd like to hear what my other guests and pundits feel and think about this article today.
Yarrow, with commercial leases, because we know you're the expert in commercial leases, don't they automatically go into a month-to-month basis unless you move out at the end of a lease?
Every lease is bespoke. There is no automatic of anything. It is traditional for most leases at the end of a guaranteed lease term to convert to a month-to-month. But a month-to-month is a fancy way of saying you have no certainty and security. And commercial leases for businesses that plan on being around more than 5 years include the option for the tenant to decide to extend for an additional period of time. And if there are no renewal options in a lease, it has nothing to do with the industry interest rates. Let me put it more frankly. The people who crafted this lease did about as good a job as the Secret Service did of checking roofs this past week.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Damn.
There was a lot of neglect.
Shots fired.
Literally.
Part of it too is that we have these green zones, and so with the tiny bit of property that's available to navigators, really, at the beck and call of these landlords, you're really kind of leveraged.
You are.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Landlords love long-term leases, especially when they're getting above market rates from the cannabis industry.
Exactly.
Why do you think they only gave him a 5-year lease with no renewal?
Because
why do you think he took that?
somebody on the Blunts and More team did not think this through. and chose a place that did not provide the certainty and the power to continue to be a business beyond 5 years. And you're right, Matthew.
Correct me if
the green zone creates more limited locational options, but there is nothing common about a lease that does not include renewal options unless the people who negotiated it didn't know what they were doing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rico, but the city of Oakland, in regards with their social equity program, all socially equity applicants, in order to be approved, they have to turn in their lease, and the city reviews their lease. Am I correct about that?
Correct.
I know we look the same, but Rico's gone for the day.
So why didn't
this is Saint Germain?
So why didn't the city bring this up or make any type of note of it?
Probably because there's nothing incorrect with the lease. It's not their job to tell them they did a bad job of negotiating. And yeah, it's just giving the lease.
Well, that defies everything of what social equity is supposed to be about in regards with them trying to help out business owners and whatnot. No. So I don't know.
No,
I disagree.
As a personally verified social equity operator in the city of San Francisco with my own lease, there was a minimum requirement for a 3-year term. Beyond that, Jason, you cannot, as a true Republican, say that additional government interference in the way private commerce is transacted is instrumental or integral to allowing social equity programs to be successul.
I didn't realize that they had a 3-year minimum. I didn't realize they had a 3-year minimum. Okay, all right, then
anything beyond that.
That's fair. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
No, everyone's just talking over me. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, go ahead, Jenny. Go ahead, Jenny. She's been trying to get something off her chest, apparently.
Well, listen. First of all, I love Tucky. Big shout out to Tucky. No shout out to Amber, because let's also talk about the fact that the city of Oakland had to look into what she was supposed to use and infuse into other social equity businesses to incubate them and misuse those funds. So
hold on a second, Jenny.
Is my mic actually off?
Hold on a second, Jenny.
Son of a bitch.
There you go.
There we go.
Now it's on.
All right.
There we go.
All right. So listen,
Sorry, guys.
maybe I should have said that quietly anyways. But I mean, this is such bullshit. Tucky has been robbed multiple times. But Tucky's also been on Instagram talking about how he's sick of this. He built this for the community. He's tired of it. He's closing up. He's done. He's leaving. So let's not complain about just the lease. If you know that you got to move out of your apartment on the 25th of next month, by the 24th, you better have another lease somewhere signed. This isn't that fucking hard. We can't hold the city responsible. And social equity is not a guarantor of success. What social equity is, if you guys can't hear me, fucking turn your thing up, but it's the opportunity to fail like everyone else and not to be kept out of a business opportunity because of socioeconomic or criminal history, et cetera, et cetera. It's a chance to stand up and fail just like everyone else. Or they would say, hey, social equity applicant, here's your store. We've already built it. Here's the money to run it. Have a great fucking day. So I want to see Tucky win. I love you to death, Tucky. Please don't call me and get mad, or do call me and get mad, but I love you and I want to see you win, King. But someone made bad business decisions here. Your realtor, maybe call Yarrow Kubrin. I think he does a better job of negotiating leases, but we can't gaslight everyone into being, oh, poor me. And Amber, I don't want to even hear it from you, sis, right off in the Jeep.
Damn. Done. She dropped her mic.
Well, I mean, she dropped her mic because it's important for pundits and talking heads to responsibly offer their perspective and to acknowledge the limitations or the places in where that perspective doesn't apply. So you can opine and you can go on and on and on about all of the ailments affecting this industry. But at the end of the day, the first sentence in this article was the only sentence in this article, which is the 5-year lease ended and the tenant had no renewal options. And that's the only story.
That pretty much. Yep. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. He should have had some type of options, some renewal options already in place, some other 5-year options that he could have just stacked on and added on, but
I think the biggest problem when a lot of people signed these leases was this pre-existing notion that federal legalization was 3 to 5 years out. And we've been saying that federal legalization
we say that every year.
3 to 5 years out.
We say that every year. Yeah, we've been saying that since the 80s.
It's coming,
That's right.
Jason.
And so it's coming.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, you only and one of the reasons why you always say 3 to 5 years is because by the time it gets to that 5-year point, people have seen a few things develop, and then you can move those goalposts. And you know, politicians do this every day. They just keep on moving the goalposts.
No,
especially the ones on that side of the aisle.
Oh,
all I gotta say is Wiz Khalifa's attorneys and his team is definitely much better than I would say what we got on here.
Yeah, the people who negotiated his release.
He's just lucky that the U.S. has good relations with Romania.
Leases.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, he's just lucky about that. Well, fair enough.
And look, much love to this author. He gets it 99% of the time right. He does a great job, but it's important to understand that there is no causation here. There is correlation. And the fact that this was the first social equity dispensary, the fact that there's a social equity program in Oakland that was used for a template has nothing to do with a lease that has no renewal options.
Mm-hmm. And Nick Bradley in the chat says his landlord not renewing the lease is a blessing in disguise. And on that, we're going to go into a commercial and we're going to be right back.